Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Danjiri. It's a huge part of the Japanese culture. To find more about this event, I decided to go down to the large Danjiri festival held at Osaka Castle recently and got you guys some footage. We're going to go through what makes this festival unique and look at its exquisite floats. Alright, so to get started, I had to do some research on the Danjiri because I didn't really know myself. So after hours and hours of reading through just tons and tons of ancient Japanese texts and these forgotten, obsolete kanji, I ended up getting a special pass to go into a little known museum that's hidden behind the fortified walls inside the Imperial Palace. But through all of that research, I was able to find the origins of the Danjiri. Danjiri はいつ始まりましたか? Ah, そうなんですか. So it turns out that the earliest records that I was able to find in these obsolete texts is back in 1703, the feudal lord of the Kyoto area asked the local shrine to do something special to try to usher in a good harvest for the year. What they ended up coming up with is what has become the hallmark of the Danjiri festival, and it's these large wooden carts that are very intricately carved, known as Danjiri. Well, more specifically, they're known by two names. Remember now, this stems from the shrines, which is from Shintoism. And so they were using these carts and they carved them in the shape of a shrine, a small miniature shrine. And what they were for is to put a god inside or a deity inside and transport them around through either the local neighborhoods or to a castle for whatever event they needed them for. In the case where it's only the deity or god inside, they're known as mikoshi, or more politely as omikoshi. Now, that's largely been forgotten as Japan has kind of moved away from Shintoism, and so now what you have is the Danjiri version, which is the same thing, but now people are riding on top of it. You'll see them on top dancing around, waving like either these large pieces of paper, or they'll be doing some kind of strange dances. They'll be hanging on the side, people inside beating on drums, and a long line of people usually pulling them along. The reason why they're pulling them along is because obviously they're very heavy. These things on average are about, the smaller ones are about 1,000 pounds, half a ton. And they usually take about 30 to 50 people roughly to pull them along, especially if you have a lot of people riding on top. Now there is another version, which is where the origins of it is, and it's a hand-carried version, but you'll almost never see those anymore. So the mikoshi, which is the deity-only versions, those will be hand-carried because they don't have people on them, so not nearly as heavy. But typically what you're going to see are the wheeled versions being pulled through the neighborhoods with people dancing on them and waving and greeting everybody. Now, I know you're going to want to know, what's the biggest Danjiri cart there's ever been? And the answer to that is Tokyo, back in 1991, at some shrine there, they built one. And now the standard one takes 30 to 50 people. This one took about 300 people to move it around, and it was gold, diamonds, rubies, and cost about $10 million to make back in 1991. For comparison's sake, the standard one owned by the local shrines in your local neighborhoods are going to be about 100,000 US dollars. So you can see that the Tokyo one is on a completely different scale. Now the Tokyo one, they only use it They used it one time. That's it. Now it's on display, so when you go to Tokyo, you can go and see the thing still, but you're never going to see it pulling down. I say never. You're probably never going to see it being pulled down the street. That is completely different from the standard Danjiri cart, which is often pulled along local city streets and in local neighborhoods. So if you ever see one, feel free to jump out of whatever vehicle you're on. Make sure it's stopped first. Grab some pictures, film it. It's perfectly fine. They're very friendly. If you speak any Japanese, you can say hello to them in Japanese. They'll wave back for sure. But anyway, I got a few pictures here of some of these carts, and I just want you to look at how intricately carved these things are. And they're always made of wood, right? So these carvings usually takes about 2 years minimal to make one of these things for a shrine. So if you put in an order, you're going to be waiting for a while. So anyway, this is a brief introduction to Japanese festival, the Danjiri festival. I hope you enjoy this content. So if you like this video, please, don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Give us a big thumbs up. And leave us a comment on what you've thought about any Japanese customs you've ever seen or festivals you've ever seen. Or if there's anything you want me to maybe focus on and do a video on, drop that in the comments too. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. If you've ever experienced any Japanese customs that you want, maybe that's terrible.